Picture this: Peter Parker inventing a magic formula to bring his dead girlfriend back to life. Or a $14,000 purple monster sprinting through a cheap green screen city. Or a giant Russian bear man firing a heavy machine gun. These sound like fever dreams, but they are very real products of an industry-wide gold rush. The moment Marvel proved you could weave multiple superhero movies into a single, highly lucrative continuity, every studio scrambled to build their own cinematic universe. That desperation led to a chaotic 10-year period littered with hastily assembled franchises and shameless copycats that crashed long before they ever got off the ground. If we look closely at the wreckage, these failures divide cleanly into two tiers: the massive $500 Hollywood disasters and the truly bizarre zero-budget bootlegs. Examining both extremes reveals exactly what happens when studios stop treating storytelling as an art form and try to mass-produce it strictly as a corporate financial formula. We have to start with the highest-profile collapse at the top tier: Warner Brothers' attempt to force the DC Extended Universe into existence. They mapped out an incredibly aggressive slate, dropping 15 interconnected movies over a single decade. The fatal flaw in that rollout was quality control. Out of those 15 major theatrical releases, only 5 actually managed to secure positive critical reception from audiences and reviewers. To see the financial toll, look at this chart tracking the 9 films they released between 2019 and 2023. The top line shows their massive average budgets holding steady around $155 million. But below that, their global box office returns plummeted drastically, averaging a pitiful $253 million per film. Because theaters keep a large percentage of ticket sales, a movie needs to make significantly more than its budget just to break even. This gap between cost and revenue represents a catastrophic bleeding of capital. Across this specific stretch, the studio swallowed an estimated total loss of $500 million. The financial damage grew so severe that Warner Brothers eventually threw in the towel. They abandoned their established continuity entirely and brought in James Gunn to execute a hard, complete reboot of the franchise. It is a textbook case of the sunk cost fallacy. When a studio continues to blindly finance expensive sequels in a failing universe, an intended money printer rapidly turns into an inescapable financial black hole. Sony made a remarkably similar mistake with their Amazing Spider-Man universe. Instead of focusing on making a solid standalone sequel, they weaponized Andrew Garfield's second outing to desperately launch a broader cinematic universe. Their planning was entirely backwards. Sony actually delayed the release of the core Spider-Man 3 movie so they could fast-track a villain-centric Sinister Six spin-off first. Behind the scenes, the creative planning was chaotic. Actor Dennis Leary confirmed a bizarre plot direction for the third film. Peter Parker was going to invent a magical chemical formula to resurrect dead characters. The specific target for this resurrection formula was Gwen Stacy. Reversing her tragic death would have completely erased the emotional weight and consequences of the previous films. Audiences never bought into the setup. The second film underperformed, the grand plans collapsed, and Marvel eventually had to step in, placing Tom Holland in the suit to save the character. You can see this exact same hubris in the live-action Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles franchise. Paramount preemptively signed Tyler Perry to a spree-film contract to play Baxter Stockman, fully planning for him to mutate into a giant fly. But terrible reviews meant the franchise was canceled after 2 movies, and the payoff never happened. Mapping out an expansive roadmap for sequels before an audience even connects with the first film ensures the franchise fails before it truly begins. If we step away from Hollywood blockbusters and dive to the absolute bottom of the industry, we find the parasitic bootlegs. These are opportunistic studios legally cheating their way into the superhero boom. The core strategy here is the Mockbuster. A production company called the Asylum perfected this by releasing a legally distinct sound-alike called Almighty Thor on the exact same weekend that Chris Hemsworth's massive Marvel debut hit theaters. Marvel spent $150 million to build Asgard. The Asylum spent about $200,000, resulting in a movie filmed on cardboard sets with actors holding plastic toy hammers. But the absolute rock bottom of this tier is a film called The Amazing Bulk. Produced for just $14,000, it features a protagonist that looks like a glitching PlayStation 1 graphic running through a world built entirely out of free 3D assets downloaded from the internet. At this level, the goal is never to build a loyal fan base or tell a compelling story. The entire business model is simply tricking a confused consumer into an accidental rental. The pursuit of team-up ensembles extended to international markets, leading to Russia's 2017 attempt at an Avengers clone called Guardians. The Russian roster was entirely unhinged. The trailers went massively viral online entirely because the team featured a literal, full-sized bear man casually firing a heavy machine gun from his shoulder. But viral marketing doesn't equal box office success. The $5.4 million production flopped so terribly and was so universally mocked by audiences that the studio actually went bankrupt. When you look at the $14,000 Mockbusters, the bankrupting Russian clones, and the $500 million Hollywood disasters side by side, they all share one unifying trait: sheer, unadulterated cynicism. Artificially engineering a cinematic universe to capitalize on a financial trend while completely ignoring foundational storytelling guarantees a spectacular crash. And the market proves that rule applies to everyone, whether you are an indie director with a cheap green screen or a billionaire executive at Warner Brothers.